Welcome to Building Solutions with FAC. During FAC's annual conference, we had the pleasure of sitting down with a series of our most valuable corporate partners to understand the role they play alongside our counties. These partners represent subject matter experts in a wide variety of spaces and can provide essential guidance on some of the biggest issues facing our state today. Let's take a closer look at how these corporate partners are building solutions alongside our counties. What is up, good people of Florida? My name is Jared Grigas, and we are live from FAC's annual conference. We are going behind the scenes today with some of our corporate partners to get to know them a little better. And right now, I am joined by Mr. Zach Dunlap from Inspired Technologies. How you doing, Zach?
Doing great, Jared.
We are certainly happy to have you here. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and your role with Inspired, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure. So, again, Zach Dunlap. I'm the Vice President of Business Development and Customer Relationships for Inspired Technologies. We are a managed IT support company based in Tallahassee, Florida. Started out, actually, in the little town of Crawfordville, Florida in Wakulla County.
I'm very familiar. Good shout out.
Yeah, so I always shout out for the home crowd. And started out with 2 people 20 years ago. Now we're north of 100 W-2 employees, and we're currently doing IT support across the state of Florida. And happy to be an endorsed business solution provider for the Florida Association of Counties.
Very impressive, Zach. Sounds like you guys have gone rags to riches pretty quickly, and I know past President Ralph Thomas will certainly enjoy that Wakulla County shout out.
I think Ralph actually tells that story like every time we come to conference.
Does he really?
He's telling that same story to the point where I think I could he can almost tell the story better than I do.
Loud and proud, it's the only way to be. Why don't you help us zero in a little more on what Inspire does and kind of what the landscape of IT looks like these days?
Sure. So the best way that I can do that is by telling a story.
Let's hear it.
So the story goes, when we started out in Wakulla County 20 years ago, one of our very first customers was the Wakulla County Board of County Commissioners.
Sure.
And the reason for them hiring a local firm like Inspired Technologies was because they had difficulty finding and retaining IT talent. And they found that it was more economical to hire Inspired to come in and fill that gap, that need that the county had at the time for IT support. And since 2002, that has now evolved, and what we're seeing more and more now is where counties are trying to play catch up when it comes to technology, whether that's internal business systems and processes, navigating the world of cloud computing. The big item these days that is the top of mind of most every county commissioner and county manager that's attending this conference is cybersecurity. And with that, you have to have a trusted advisor that understands not only the IT infrastructure of your organization, but also understands how you do business, what the operations look like.
Right.
Not just necessarily the ones and zeros of knowing how to fix things when they break, but understanding each individual process and how it relates to how the county does business, whether that's, planning and zoning, whether that's parks and rec, whether that's the internal departments, the road department, whether that's waste management. All of these systems now are interconnected, and the least common denominator and the single point of failure for a county entity is their technology. Because now we rely on internet connectivity. We're 2020 during COVID showed us exactly what it meant to go full remote workforce, and the counties had to adapt on the fly. And that puts a lot of stress on a county, especially fiscally constrained counties. When you start looking at kind of where we started at in that rural county environment, was you had to do the best you could with what you had. Right. And now it's just evolved to the point now that counties, regardless of your size, you could be as small as, you could be a very small rural county or a very large metro county, but your requirements are still the same.
Okay.
It's a different, now scaling wise, it's a lot different, but the same core functions exist in all of those counties, and the same need to protect those systems are in place. So as we start to kind of take in our approach, especially working with FAC, and we have a fantastic working relationship with the Florida Sheriff's Association as well, and we are also an endorsed provider for the Florida Sheriffs. But what we've
another partner,
yes,
it's all connected.
It's a big family. So it's just that there weren't a lot of people running to this fire 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That's still true today. There's not a lot of companies that are running in to want to help the rural counties with their IT needs, and that's where we've really taken a strong approach. Our methodology, the way that we conduct our business and our operations, really is very strategically aligned with what the counties see as their mission going forward and their entire strategic action plan as it pertains to technology.
Gotcha. Hey, summed that up perfectly. It sounds like
I've got this down pat. I've here at conference.
Not your first rodeo.
I was about to say I practiced this elevator pitch a lot. So not our first rodeo, but one of the things that when we come to our conferences, it's not so much that we're more in the consulting role.
Right.
We're not a firm where we're actively soliciting. A lot of our business actually comes by word of mouth referral, counties referring us to other counties, and part of that's just the relationships that we've created over the years and being that trusted partner. We've touched projects from basically on the county IT support side. We've done massive broadband projects across the United States. We've worked in the cybersecurity realm for the last it's going on 7 years now when it pertains to sheriff's office operations, the security around the 911 systems,
right,
and in the elections world as well in Florida. So we've gotten a lot of experience and a lot of exposure that just not a lot of people have, and we've made our reputation as being the problem solver. If somebody has a problem, we're usually the first call, and that to be quite honest, that has been one of the things that is both a blessing and a curse for us, because what we do as a business is very labor intensive. We're constantly trying to recruit the right people, so I'm on a first name basis with just about every single college and university that has an IT department in the state of Florida, and we're constantly recruiting. And part of that is because we've made a commitment to the Florida Association of Counties, and to be a good partner means when there's a problem, we answer the call, and that has been that's been tantamount to our success. We're very proud to be a partner with FAC, and we're just so thrilled to be here, and it gives us the time to be around our clients and our friends here at conference, and bouncing new ideas, hearing from other vendors, and just being around and being that that technical advisor for
makes everyone better. I think
it does. The concept of iron sharpens iron, but being at these conferences, it really does help. We get to see things that are coming down the pipe, sharing of new ideas, talking with other vendors, other technology companies that are whether they're software solution sets or hardware providers, gives us a great deal of just a great deal of more knowledge that we can take away from those.
Obviously, our counties are very grateful to have you guys here.
Yes.
For those that still need a reality check, what are some of the biggest challenges you're seeing in these fields today?
So, from our perspective, what we're seeing more and more now is the management.
Okay.
What happens in most counties is you have a lot of different systems in place, whether those are different applications, whether those are different job functions, but it all falls back on technology. Now you add this layer of, we'll just call it compliance, and some of the new legislation that's coming out as it pertains to cybersecurity, some of the new rule sets, some of the new offerings that are coming out for counties, some of the grants that are available. And what has really happened now is the counties are in a position where they're receiving a lot of information, and they're coming back to saying we don't have an action plan to implement based on
point A to point B.
For point A to point
Yeah.
B. What does the roadmap look like? And that we've had that conversation with several counties here. Just discussing kind of what their cybersecurity posture. What should we do? We're hearing all of this information. We're hearing these ransomware attacks, and we should be doing these things. Where do we start? And not just in the where do we start, but how do we manage all of it? And that's been one of the sticking points from this conference that it does ring home for us, because that is something that we are providing for our counties, and what we're hearing more and more is they're needing more help in the world of cybersecurity. That seems to be the main sticking point, and it's the hot topic because of all of the recent ransomware attacks.
Right.
Many of counties and municipalities in particular have been affected, and based on the new law where we're no longer no county or municipal entity is allowed to pay it.
Yeah.
So you're not paying ransomware. So what do you do then when you do get a ransomware attack? And I always say the best cure is prevention. Like, prevent ransomware from happening.
Yeah.
So in that, it's not so much that what do we do if we get ransomware, it's how do we ensure that we never get ransomware.
You're asking the wrong questions.
You're asking the wrong questions. So it's not okay, we don't pay ransomware, it's how do we not get affected, how do we prevent ourselves, and how do we limit our threat vector down to a point where if it does happen and we have a break glass moment emergency,
Yep.
What does the action plan look like, and then how do we respond effectively? Those are all tool sets that through as we have communicated with our constituents, these are things that we actually do offer, from basically coming in as a managed cybersecurity provider, where you can offload that responsibility, or you can have a partner in that if a county does have their own IT support, or if they don't have their own IT support, they can still get that same roadmap. And I think that's what a lot of the counties, it's a big concern. There's a lot of talking points. There's a lot of there's a lot of information. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and just be able to navigate that has been critical. So being able to be that person and fill that need for our counties has it's a great responsibility. It's something that we have taken ownership, and we will provide that for our constituents. And I think that really helps. I've heard it from several counties that just guys said they one in particular was made the comment that they sleep better at night knowing that there's a company like us that's there, and in fact they are a client of ours, but
that is a heck of a compliment.
But we're there to make sure that these things don't happen. But no, there isn't any system design that's 100% foolproof.
Right, airtight.
They're the biggest things that we keep hearing about, especially with it when it comes to cybersecurity events or ransomware, malware, is the human element, which is staff, which we clicking on links you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
I opened the wrong email. It said free pizza. So you just
compelling case.
So you just want to be able to educate people on that, but at the same time, if an incident does respond, that you have a team in place to handle it accordingly. And that sort of peace of mind, it's hard. I think that's one of the things that we do a great job of, is being able to provide that peace of mind for our counties.
For sure. While I have you here, let's redirect toward broadband for a second, if you're comfortable.
Sure.
Talking that.
Absolutely.
What is that landscape looking like these days? I know this is a priority issue for a lot of our counties.
Yeah, it very much is, and part of I will say this as the kind of being involved with those conversations from many years prior, and where the state and the federal government are positioning themselves for great success with this is by more engagement with the local communities, and basically not trying to layer a one-size-fits-all solution. And I've seen communications from Department of Economic Opportunity with DEO. Their broadband team has been fantastic. The communications, the workshops, and I think that's where I truly believe the success of this will be the communication to the communities. And they've provided a lot of education tools to get people up to speed on what you have.
No pun intended.
And right, up to speed, no pun intended. But yeah, I mean we're trying to basically solve the digital divide.
Yeah.
And again, we look back on 2020 as being an eye opener to say, oh no, there's a lot of people who don't have access to high speed internet, and it's not just a rural problem.
Right. I think COVID,
COVID
really blew that open.
When everybody had to work from home, we quickly realized our internet capabilities as a nation.
Very unprepared.
We were very unprepared for that. So I think that the measures taken by the state, this first round of grant monies being awarded and approved through Governor DeSantis, taking the lead and really getting ahead of where the federal dollars were coming from by going ahead and saying, no, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get Florida in a position to succeed. So we're going to continue, pushing towards the ultimate goal of a fully covered Florida. I mean, that is a huge undertaking, and basically by county and how they're accomplishing that goal through strategic partnerships with the existing internet service providers, working on kind of out of the box solution sets and what they're what they're seeing as far as from fixed wireless technologies to fiber to the home projects. It's very much a all hands on deck effort.
Absolutely.
And it's slowly but surely coming to fruition. So I think what you'll see in the next 2 years, especially with the BEAD grant money, the broadband grants coming from the federal government, is you'll see not only kind of a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 approach where this initial round of state dollars that are going to these projects in specific cities and communities and special districts, you're starting to see some momentum there. There are more people engaged. This is a huge issue for Florida. I will say that this is one of the big ticket items that we have to address. But I think the state has positioned itself in an opportunity to really show success by not trying to go too big too quickly, and very much address this at the local county issue. And kudos, because what will work in Liberty County may not work in Okeechobee.
Of course.
What will work in Highlands may not work in,
it's got to be a tailored
in Bradford.
fit. Yep.
It's a tailored fit because every county is a little bit different in their demographics, the geography of that county, the existing solution providers, just the entire landscape.
Right.
So every county that so far with the local technology planning teams that we've been able to either be a part of or be able to actually be on the local technology planning teams, they've really done their due diligence, and it's been an amazing cooperative effort with not just private entities but government, schools, basically that public-private I would think would the correct word be the public-private partnership that has now been created to ensure that this gets done. That's different. That we've not had that before in the past. That's something that
everybody's a stakeholder here.
Everybody's a stakeholder, and part of that is because we have not not just that we have skin in the game on this, but there is a momentum and an opportunity to get this right the first time, and all eyes are on it. So not just that puts a lot of weight and responsibility on those stakeholders that are, leading these projects. However, they've never had the ability nor the funding to do this before. This is one of the biggest infrastructure projects that our country has ever done. This is definitely one of the biggest infrastructure projects that Florida has done on a state level. So that's a lot.
No, appreciate you hitting on it. Jeff Scala would kill me if I didn't, show broadband a little love. So
Jeff, Jeff got a shout out. So.
I'm sure he's happy. While I have you, one last thing. Just give us the biggest takeaway for all of our listeners, all of our membership here, that they should take away from this conversation today.
So, for both our counties and the constituents of those counties, what I would say is that your leadership at both the county level, starting from your constitutional officers to your commissioners, to your county managers, and all of your county officials are more on the same page now than they have ever been. And that is when you've got all 67 counties on the same sheet of music, and they're all saying the same thing, and this is a voice that's echoing across the state. So what it's done is it showed that the voters of those counties and the constituents that live in those counties, they're listening. They are taking actionable items. They're going before the state legislation. They're going before your legislators. Everybody's all hands on deck. They're all pushing the top priorities as they see them from their constituents, and the biggest one is broadband, especially bridging the digital divide. That is the biggest issue, and it's not just falling on deaf ears. We're seeing project after project after project starting. We're seeing actionable items. We're actually tracking metrics. We're showing success stories now, the likes of which we haven't in ever. So this has been, I would say, an eye-opener for not just the counties, but to actually see things getting done. And that just goes to show you that, when you have when you have collaboration, when you have conferences, when you have these people and they're in these rooms and they're having these sessions, they're having these discussions, they're meeting, it's an exchange of ideas and best practices that they take back to their counties, and it just improves everybody's life. And the old saying goes is the rising tide lifts all boats, and it's true. So I would say that without a doubt, the hard work that FAC does behind the scenes, putting this on, Jared, the hard work that you do here, having this podcast, it doesn't go it doesn't go unnoticed. It's very much appreciated. The hard work that FAC is doing to not just get the message out there, to help educate our communities and really make sure that it's not just lip service, or, thumbs up, we've got you. They're coming back with it. Here, we heard you. This is what we did. This is how we're doing it, and this is when it's going to get done. That's different. So I would say that the biggest takeaway has been the responsiveness to the loudest voices and what they were saying. It's like, we hear you, we're on it.
Well, I'm ready to run through a brick wall after
Heck
that.
Yeah, that's my favorite. My coach's speech. Win one for the
paint
Gipper.
a pretty optimistic picture here, so hopefully we can get this thing across the finish line.
Listen, it's great to be living in the free state of Florida.
Absolutely.
This is the Sunshine State, so I can paint a very sunny picture of what the future of Florida looks like.
Well, thank you, Zach, and thank you to Inspired, obviously, for y'all's continued work in this space. We really appreciate having you.
We're so pleased to be here, and just appreciative of this great honor and the trust that FAC puts into us, and anytime that we can give back and help, that's what we're about.
Love to hear it, man. Well, thanks for joining us. This has been FAC Behind the Scenes, and we are signing off.